From Politico, Wisconsin judge argues she is entitled to judicial immunity. You may have heard of Judge Hannah Dugan. She is accused of aiding and abetting a criminal alien by allowing him to escape federal law enforcement that was seeking to deport him. She's pleaded not guilty. Now she is arguing she is immune from prosecution. Let me read. Wisconsin judge charged with helping a man who was in the country illegally helping a man in the country illegally evade U.S. immigration agents who was trying to get him from the courthouse, filed a motion to dismiss the case Wednesday, arguing there's no legal basis for it. Attorneys for Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan argue in the notion that her conduct on the day of question amounted to directing people's movement in and around her courtroom, and that she enjoys legal immunity for official acts she performs as a judge. They cite last year's U.S. Supreme Court ruling in Trump's 2020 election interference case. We get it. Quote, the problem with the prosecution are legion. But most immediately, the government cannot prosecute Judge Dugan because she is entitled to judicial immunity for her official acts. Immunity is not a defense to the prosecution to be determined later by a jury or court. It is an absolute bar to the prosecution at the outset.
Is that an official duty, helping accused criminals escape?
And they're going to go objection, speculative. I actually don't know if they'd say that, but I just wanted to bang the gavel. But what they're actually going to say is she wasn't seeking to assist an illegal immigrant. She was simply directing the flow of traffic in her courtroom that she does every. That's what they're saying. That's what they said. That's literally what they said.
That's hilarious.
As judge, she has to tell people where to go and when to go, and she was saying, "You go that way and leave."
That's
because
hilarious.
I am so busy today. Now, the funny thing about law is I typically find a lot of people, I don't know if you guys bump into this, people think the law is like a gigantic wall. And it's just like, if there's a contract law is my favorite. People will say things like, oh, but you can't do this. You signed a contract. I'll be like, you've never been involved with contract litigation, have you? Because people break those literally every other day. They're literally worth less than the paper they're printed on. It's kind of just like guidelines. But contracts can be voided by a judge. I can sign a label deal with Phil that's totally sound and legit, and then a judge finds it to be unfair and just voids it. It's like the contract doesn't mean anything. So people don't understand that the law is as people are willing to enforce it. So then when this judge says, hey, look, I'm allowed to direct traffic in my courtroom, so I'm immune, any sane judge is going to go, nice try, lady. Because we're human beings. We're not morons. We understand what you're trying to do.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but you know, if you can make an argument and you have someone that's politically aligned with you and they're politically motivated, almost any argument will do.
She's going before, I guess, a Democrat judge appointed by Bill Clinton. So
that's convenient.
Well, she'll get out of it.
I mean, it's really a shame. It's really shameful, and both. I mean, it's kind of like Comey too. It's like these people have ruined their lives and their careers. By making these decisions. This is, and it's wild. Yeah. Like, how did you get to the place where you have such an upside down perspective on reality like she did? So
it's honestly, a cult, man.
It is a cult.
Like, let me ask you, like, you're in Congress, and the complaint we have with the Republicans, they don't seem to do much. But to be fair, in all seriousness, I do prefer a political party that does little compared to what the Democrats do.
Yeah.
And the issue I see right now with the Democratic Party is they seem to do nothing but oppose. They're not offering things up. Like if you that RFK Jr. hearing where he yelled at that woman, he's like, you've been trying to get artificial dyes out for 20 years. I did it in 100 days. You should be praising me. Nope, you're bad. So we're going to oppose you. Trump says, I'm going to sign an executive order to negotiate drug prices down. And they got mad at him. Why? What is this?
Yeah,
you work with these people.
Their brain is broken, right? Is
that going to get you in trouble?
That didn't no. The brain is broken. These are the same people that would not applaud the young boy who had brain cancer, who was being deputized as a U.S. Marshal. How could you sit there and protest that? It just defies any kind of rationale whatsoever.
I don't see how Democrats muster up anything for 2028 because there's no message, there's no mission.
And if they lean into class warfare and true left-wing populism, they would clean up, but they're not willing to divorce themselves from identity politics yet.
I don't.
Is the humiliation not thorough enough?
I don't know that they have politics. It's just whatever Trump is, their opposite.
Yeah, they don't have a consistent policy or philosophy, a political philosophy that they're governed by.
Like, I agree with what you're saying, but my point is their intention is not to be for identity politics. It's because we're against it. So if
I disagree. I mean, I think that they are truly hateful people.
yes,
I
but
do hate white men. That is true.
But that's because Trump
not
is
performative.
a white man.
It's not just because Trump is a white man.
I think for some of these people, you're probably correct. Or I should say, for some of these people, they genuinely hate white people and they're leading the cause. But I would argue that for most liberal or Democrat voters, they would abandon the anti-white stuff the moment Trump was out of the picture.
That wasn't true when Biden was in office.
The default libs.
Wait, are you?
I'm saying like there's an
referring to-
activist base that is anti-white.
Yeah.
And then there's default libs that just vote for whatever the machine tells them to vote for. And the default libs are clueless to these politics. They don't care. But they hate Trump, so they vote for whatever the libs want.
Not sure if I agree about the default libs. They're more extreme than you might be
I don't know. I think they're culty. I think they're ignorant. They don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm actually on Mary's side on this. I do think that they have they have the desire to look at people as the other. So they look at Republicans overall as the other, and you can see it in a lot of people that post on TikTok. A lot of them, and they tend to be awfuls, affluent, white, urban, liberal women, and they say some of the most terrible racist things, but because it's directed at white people, it's perfectly acceptable. And Tim's right. There is a culty aspect to them because you can check the list of all the appropriate views. And if they have all the appropriate views, then they can say terrible things. But I forget who made the quote, but there is something that is extremely alluring to people to be able to be terrible to other people and feel like you have the moral high ground. You're being virtuous by being terrible to people. And right now, conservatives, MAGA people, and are in that group, and it's focused on white conservative men. And so anytime they get the opportunity to be condescending, hateful, and just absolutely awful, they do. And it's like a psychological treat. I forget who said that. That was the quote they used. It was the most delectable psychological treat is what they said. But people do. If you can feel morally superior and be absolutely terrible to someone else and feel like you're doing it and you're right in doing it because they are bad, it's something that some people just can't pass up.
In Congress, do you reach out to Democrats and try to get them on board with your project, your bills?
Yeah, just today, Jared Golden and I had a conversation in the hallway about I'm working on a data privacy bill for the data that your car collects. I don't know if you're aware of this, but like your if you buy a new vehicle today, they're tracking so much information about you, your driving habits, where you went, the fact, they could tell that you went to Taco Bell last night and that you gained 10 pounds, right? And what you were listening to along the way. And then they're broadcasting that through a cell signal back to the mothership, right? To whatever car company you bought it from. And then they sell it on the market, right?
Do you mean buying it new? And how new?
So I think I've heard that this pattern has been happening since 2021. Like vehicles since 2021, not every make, but more and more makes of cars are doing this. They're monetizing your data, and so people need to know that.
Did you know that Facebook knows when you have to poop? It's not a joke.
What, when you start scrolling?
No. So there are things that we don't realize are associated with behaviors, but when Facebook brings in 1 billion people and then takes the data from all of them,
wow,
it can see like. So this is actually a story that's pretty old. Facebook's been able to do this for a long time. it can predict when a person will get up and go to the bathroom because it's got 1 billion people and it's watching everything they do. And it can discern that when your GPS shows you get up from your workspace and then walk and then sit down for 10 minutes and then walk again, they're like, that was a potty break. So now it's tracked all of the behaviors everyone's done before that.
Wow.
It even knows where you'll eat. Facebook can predict which local restaurant you'll go to. You might be sitting there with you're at work and then someone's like, we got Arby's, Burger King, Blaze Pizza. What do you want to hit up? And then you're going, oh man, let's go Blaze Pizza. That sounds good. Facebook already knew. It already knew because there's certain behaviors that you'll do that you don't realize are associated with a certain kind of food. But the AI can predict it with high probability. It's nuts.
Zuckerberg's literally waiting inside for you at the table. He knows which table you're going to go to as well.
I brought my sweet baby Rays.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
And it's one thing if you know as the consumer, if you are prepared and you know and you've consented to that and you say, I know you're gonna, like Google. Everybody knows you have Gmail. Everybody knows that you're giving up all of your information to Google and they're going to sell it, right? Monetize it. And that's part of like the consent. But I don't think people know that their car is tracking them.
Yeah.
And I think
I do.
People
Tesla,
need to know.
So.
But your weight.
Yeah.
It like, did you ever accidentally like put your hand down on the passenger seat or something or in the back seat and that puts the seatbelt warning up?
Yeah.
So I had a bunch of books, it was Life magazines, and I put in the passenger seat and then it was like, put on a seatbelt. Because it's weighing you.
Yeah.
Yep. It would be hilarious, though. Elon should do this. If you gain a lot of weight, it should put an alert up being like, in the past month, you've gained 7 pounds. Yeah. Put down the fork.
Show the face of Bobby Kennedy Jr. Don't eat that.
The one in the shadows. The one where he's like coming out of the shadows looking at you.
It's the straight top down. It's all the shadows in his face.
The Kubrick stare.
So he's frightened.
You're eating too much.
Down the Big Mac. I know it's delicious.
I know we're laughing about it, but I think that's genuinely where we're going as a civilization with AI and automation. You're going to pick up your phone. You're going to be like, I got to go to work. You're going to go on Uber. It's going to be called Uber Auto. The car will be self-driven. You'll sit down in it, and you'll just have your eyes half, just glazed over and half closed. And then all of a sudden, the car will turn left and go into a Starbucks. It'll pull up, automatically transmit the data. Then a robot arm will reach into the car and it'll give you a mocha frappuccino and you'll be like, I did want one of these.
I
didn't even ask for it, but
I wouldn't mind the car telling me if I put on, a couple pounds, so I didn't have to wait until the mirror told me, because that is gradual and it slowly happens. So it's there. Then you just one day you're like, oh no, I've gained 7 or 8 pounds and I got to go spend a whole bunch of time at the gym. If it was just like 2 or 3 pounds, it's like you gained a couple pounds. Like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the gym and take care of this before it gets bad.
So back to your question about do we work with Democrats? I'll tell you, like, one of my favorite moments of the day is going into the member gym, because it's like I'll be lifting weights side by side with Democrats, right? And at that time, it's not, it's just getting to know each other on a personal level.
Went to the gym.
Yeah, because
probably more Republicans, but there are
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, I mean, obviously all the Republicans are ripped and they're like, they're doing heavy curls, and the Democrats are probably lifting like 5-pound weights and
No, I mean,
but lifting weights made you a fascist.
I'll tell you, Luke Herrera from California, great guy. He's a great guy, and he's pretty stout. He's stout. Especially at his age, he is a strong individual.
Stout also implies short, doesn't it?
I don't know. To me, when I see stout, I think of like
robust. No, that could mean fat.
Like
broad. Yeah, broad works.
Right.
Thick.
Do you think that instinct to collaborate and build bridges is kind of a one-sided feeling?
Do I?
The Democrats don't feel that way.
There's some, and I think that, like, even on a personal level, like AOC and I, for example, we don't align on nearly anything. Now we do on the UAP topic and some privacy issues, but we still find, I mean, you find a way to like be nice as a human being to the people that you're working with, even when you're disagreeing with them adamantly. But when the cameras turn on, because I'm on oversight committee, and when people have their 5 minutes, it's become clickbait, right? Like it's become
performative.
It's performative, and I can go into a whole thing about this.
The camera is like a full moon, and when it turns on, they're sitting there talking to him and be like, hey, man, that was a really great clip. And the camera turns on,
Well, that's the thing. They want the to be able to clip it for the internet,
Right.
and then they can act normal outside of the clip. But
I
if
call
they
that
get
evil.
Well, there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
behave that way.
I think that one of the most messed up parts about DC is the committee process, because I came from a state legislature where when you have a bill or you have a topic come through, you literally have members that are sitting there and they're asking questions, thoughtful questions, trying to understand the text of the bill, understand the perspective of the different people that might be affected, and they come up and testify. And so you truly are fact finding. In Congress, that is not happening. In general, it's all about you get 5 minutes of time, and you better make your 5 minutes interesting. And otherwise, you're not truly, there's no opportunity to actually get
This
anywhere.
is the kind of stuff that makes me want to run for Congress. I was talking to Rep. Massey today, and he was like, you guys are getting another 3-day weekend. Is that what's going on? They canceled the vote?
Well, I'm still working tomorrow.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, they canceled the vote because they can't decide what to do.
He was like, they gave us a 4-day week. He was like, it was like a 4-day week. Now it's a 3-day week. And I was like, man, you're making it sound like a great job.
Is that another chance to get the Hearing Protection Act in there? Can you
Do what?
Another chance to get the Hearing Protection Act in there? Can you slide that
There
in
you go.
there?
That's what we're trying. That's right now. I'm trying to do everything I can
Hearing
to get
Protection
that in
Act, very important.
It's very
Our
important.
hearing
It's-
is very
look,
important.
Silencers are personal protective equipment.
Suppressors.
Suppressors. Cans are protective equipment. They're important, and also
It's about safety. Really.
it is about it unironically is about safety.
And saving money on Medicare, spending money on hearing aids.
Yep, absolutely. That and the Short Act are very important in my opinion.
A real quick question before we move to the next subject. Though I always wondered with these like big omnibus bills. Remember that one that was like 5,000 pages?
Yeah,
Well, why can't you just slide in like one piece of paper that
exactly
says
what we're trying
something?
to do.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Just slide in that one paper that says like, you can buy a silencer.
Just abolish the
generally,
ATF.
I'll tell you, like
Abolish the just
Abolish the
one
NFA. Just one line.
sentence.
That's all it takes. One line.
the real unfortunate thing is often that does happen, but it's from industry. It's the things you don't want. It's the swampy stuff that you say, how did that get in there?
That's the thing. Like we talk about why things are the way they are in DC around this table frequently, and it's like these omnibus bills make everybody in Congress happy because you can throw a bunch of gunk in there. Right. And you don't have to be responsible for the bad stuff. So when your constituents say, hey, how did this pass? How come you didn't vote against it? How come you voted for it? Well, it was in the omnibus and I had to because first of all, we didn't want to shut the government down. And second of all, there was all these things that we do want that were in there and you have to make trades. And that's the way that it goes.
And it's intentionally voluminous
Yep.
so that it's impossible to read. It's daunting to try and read what's in it. And I don't understand why in Congress we haven't had just single issue bills. I mean, that to me makes the most sense. Just one at a time, one issue at a time.
Because then they have to answer for the bills.
They can't cram a bunch of ancillary
if you
stuff into
if you
it.
have single line bills, then Congress people are then going to have to go back to their constituents and say, I voted for it because of this, or I voted against it because of this.
Yeah.
And in every district, there are people that are going to be for and against it, and it's easier if you don't have to answer for the bills. It's the same reason that that Congress doesn't declare war anymore. They gave the president, they created a law to give the president the authority to go to war, which the Constitution does not give the president the authority to do that, and it doesn't give the Congress the authority to get out of voting to declare war. But they created that, gave it to the president, and every president since George Bush has been riding on that same authorization. And it's because they don't want to have to vote, because it's easier to go to Congress, not actually have to put your name on anything, so that way you don't have to be responsible for anything. Joe Biden was the exact same thing. The reason why they wanted Joe Biden, or one of the reasons why they wanted Joe Biden, is because Joe Biden was a rubber stamp for whatever the Democrats wanted to do, and Joe Biden wasn't going to be responsible, and no one else was going to be responsible either. No one could tell you who was actually making the calls in the Biden administration, because it wasn't Joe Biden, because he was completely incapable of doing it, and the people behind him could just point at each other.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.